Welcome back. Voters turned out last night to show their support for Republicans in the states of Virginia and New Jersey. So will these wins send a message to blue dog Democrats and ultimately make them stronger? Joining us right now is former pollster for President Carter, Pat Caddell. He joins us live here in our New York studio. And in Washington, D.C., we have Democratic strategist and Fox News contributor Bob Beckel. Pat, let's start with you. Barack Obama, is he waking up thinking, that's not so good for me?
Well, it was not a very good night. I mean, they put a lot in New Jersey, but the point is that and also the constituencies. Last night I was pretty shocked by, we knew that there would be troubles, in more conservative areas, but in the suburban counties in the Northeast, here in New Jersey and in Virginia, Loudoun County, Virginia, which 42% for McCain, was flipped 15 points for McDonald last night. It was a 30-point margin shift. The same thing in Prince William County.
These are the affluent suburbs of the big towns.
Bergen County, the same thing happened here. You saw it in Westchester County, a huge change there. These are people who have been wealthier people who have been voting Democratic partly on social issues, also because the Democrats weren't scaring them economically. They look like they turned out in huge numbers last night, and they were overwhelmingly swinging. So,
okay, so Bob, I'm kind of interested to hear how two Republican wins are, good news for your Democrat Party.
They're not good news. I'll tell you, I'm going to pick up the broke piece of my life and carry on. It's going to be very difficult, Steve, but I think I'll get away with it. And maybe we can breathlessly keep this story going another day here on Fox.
It's the day after the election. Of course we got to talk about it.
I understand. Look, let's look at a couple of things. First of all, I predicted this, as plenty of witnesses, that Corzine was going to lose. A second coming of Christ could not have saved him in New Jersey. You're talking about a governor who was not popular, who raised taxes, and was with Goldman Sachs. Now, Caddell could have beat him. Number one. Number two, in Virginia, they have always elected a governor who is not whose party does not have the White House.
Always.
And by the way, I want to thank Sarah Palin for her recruiting effort to give us that congressional district for the first time in 100 years. But here's the message. New York was the message, and this is where I think Pat and I will agree, and where everybody who's an incumbent better be careful. And that is that people want things to work right. This was not about the values. This was not about abortion. This was about making government work right. It didn't work right in New Jersey. And I'll tell you, for Bloomberg, it's a good thing he's rich, because people were sending a message. They don't like the way it was being done. It's not being handled right. So I think that's the shot across people's bow.
I think also in New York, you have a situation where he forced through the term limits change. He spent $100 billion against weak opposition. He was without Staten Island last night, he would have lost New York City.
That's right.
This is incredible.
But Pat, isn't the message, if you're going to vote?
I've got a problem here, which is if your things aren't going well, and this is part of the problem with what's happening in the country right now. But I'll tell you, I do think that there are heavy implications on this for health care. I think when you look at these suburban counties, pushing through something that doesn't take effect now for 5 years and has some of the concerns it has when people are concerned about the economy and they are concerned about the war and they're concerned about deficits is pushing it.
So will this affect the outcome in the Congress?
If I were not only a blue dog Democrat, you look at what happened in the coal country in the western part of Virginia, which in fact Democrats often have never lost last night. I would worry, but I'll tell you what, it's not just the blue dogs. It's in these northern, midwestern suburbs where liberal Democrats sit, and those voters look like they are very unhappy about things.
Bob, do you think this is going to impact health care?
I don't. This is where I don't often depart from my friend Pat Caddell's thinking, but on this, there's no indication that health care was an issue yesterday. I think people actually want it. The more they hear about it, it's going to pass. Let's just forget about it. It'll be signed into law. Now, having said that, there is now, though, on the deficit. I've been looking at this now for a year. I've never seen the deficit it sustained itself as an issue more than a couple of months. It's now sustained itself for 12 months. That is something that I think that's finally settling into, particularly the baby boomers, that there is a certain amount of guilt settling in about handing off a debt. That, I think, is a part of it, and people want the trains to run on time.
Okay, all right.
But for Obama, this was not a, look, you didn't see any, normally when you have angry voters, you have big turnout. You didn't have a big turnout last night.
No, indeed. All right, Bob Beckel and Pat Caddell, we thank you very much. More analysis throughout the program right here on Fox and Friends. All right, guys.